Hey everybody, Tom Bogart with Move Freely America. Really excited to have you all here today. We have two great guests, Chris Mills and Ellis Prescott from Move Freely Nevada, the state directors there. Bringing them in to interview them, ask them questions, see how they got involved in a group and what they're doing. A lot of exciting things happening in Nevada, and get to know them a little better and show you that there's some real people working behind the scenes and it's not just a fancy website. Bringing you guys in here. How you doing today?
We're good.
Very good, Tom. Thanks for having us.
So we got Chris on the top right and Ellis down on the bottom. And thanks to Chris, I've got a green screen and it looks super awesome. So I appreciate you doing that.
You're good. I'm totally impressed with the production value so far.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It takes a little bit of time, but I enjoy it. It's kind of fun to get into, you know. So tell me a little bit about Chris. Tell me a little bit about, you know, family, kids. What did you do before the airline world?
I am married for the second time. I have 3 kids. I've got a 32-year-old son, an 18-year-old, and a 14-year-old daughter. We moved to Nevada a few years ago for my job because I got a job teaching with my airline. So we have a training center here in Las Vegas. So I moved out here in 2018. Before that, I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina. Before I flew for Spirit Airlines, I was with a NASCAR team, Michael Waltrip Racing, and I did some charter flying before that. And aviation is actually my third career. Right before I got into aviation, I was basically a business manager. I managed car dealerships in Philadelphia and upstate New York. And my very first career, which is still, in addition to flying, is my number one passion. I was a professional musician for several years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we talked early on when you first got involved with Move Freely, and we discovered that I think we grew up, an hour and a half apart from each other.
I don't even think it was that far, right? Yeah. I was in a little town called Scotia, New York, just north of Schenectady. So I guess that's about an hour from.
Yeah. Because I was in a Schenectady Air Guard as a mechanic in the C-130s. So, I know exactly where that is.
Cool.
That's pretty amazing. So, Chris and I speak Yankee, which makes it super easy to communicate when we're working together.
Perfect.
So, Ellis, what about you?
All right. My name's Ellis Prescott. I was one of the state directors of Move Freely Nevada. I was highly recruited by you, Tom, for coming in here, and I appreciate the opportunity. It's been awesome. Who I am, basically, I'm an aviator for about 40 years now. I was in the Air Force for 21 years, and then I was in the airlines for 11 years. That doesn't quite make 40, but I'll include my Air Force Academy time in there also. I was right. I've been in Nevada since 2012. I moved here for the airlines when I got hired. I was in Orlando for about a year and then moved out to Nevada. So I got 2 kids. One's done with college and married and trying to get to med school, which is important because we discuss medical freedoms all the time with her. And then I've got a son who's a junior going on to be a senior at Catholic University in DC. He wants to be a lawyer, so maybe he can help me out too with a lot of this stuff eventually. And I'm been married for about 28 years. I got involved with Move Freely America again because Tom, you asked, but more importantly, man, it's been two years of watching, and really more than that, of watching our freedoms just get disintegrated and shaking our heads. And we've all been there. We're all pilots. We've been there sitting in the right seat and sometimes in the left seat, listening to guys that talk the same and feel the same and want to do something, but we just sit there and we keep on flying and we keep on just shaking our heads with the cockpit door closed. and it was finally time to say, get our heads out of the sand. We had to do something through some great leadership of not only you, but guys like in Florida, Tom O'Learick, and across the states, doing some good work. So that's really what got us motivated. I will say real quickly what started Move Freely Nevada. We did it in a tavern. We got 3 guys. Ben Sicily's also one of our state directors. And much like America was born, we kind of born in the battle-born state of Nevada, an agreement in a tavern just to stop the madness and stop what I think is tyranny. Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. So what some people don't know, and I don't even know if you know, Chris, but Ellis and I went to Higher Power. We were in the same class together to get our 7-3 type, trying to get on at Southwest Airlines, but. Ellis is a high performer and got hired far sooner than I did. So, are you going to upgrade the captain?
Only because of my recommendation that you got hired, I'm sure.
Are you going to upgrade soon, man? Because you're like.
So yeah, I'm first available. I just got an email that said I'm got the Lance captain vacancy bid for Las Vegas, which surprised me. I thought it was a little bit too junior for that. So I'm going to go upgrade in June, and then quickly thereafter, I'll be commuting, I'm sure, to Oakland to be a captain. I'm probably in the next vacancy bid. We'll jump right into captain. So
I'm only about
it's been 11 years, and it's been a long time waiting, but it's coming.
Yeah, that the 65 rule, and then the max, and then the merger, and then the max, and now the pandemic. I mean, it's been horrible for the guys in your seniority range. So what's that? We were talking before the stream. What's that on the wall there?
So this is just a 20 millimeter barrel off my F-15 that when I was flying F-15s, I was the director of operations in the 60th, and as a going away present, they all the bros gave it to me. It's something standard that we give to some of our leadership guys, but it's a no kidding gun barrel that the maintenance guys they hide and have a precious few, and only a few get it. But that is my prized possession. It's real 20 millimeter bullets have gone through that thing. Yeah.
Wow, cool. That's amazing, man. That's pretty cool. I'm excited for the new Top Gun to come out because, Top Gun was the reason why I became a pilot. And
you and thousands, right?
Yeah. I didn't apply myself in high school enough to make it, into flight school.
I know. I'm a little worried that the flying in Top Gun was awesome, and I mean, I still put the video in the VCR if I even have that anymore. But and watched it with my kids all growing up. It's just the flying is amazing. The story is the story, but the flying is just great. But I saw a couple trailers on this one that had F-18s doing things that F-18s can't do, so I'm a little worried about some of that, but. I can't wait for it. Yeah.
Only a handful of you actually know that, though. So for the rest of the public, we're going to be like, "Oh, that's awesome."
For us super rational people, it's hard to watch movies because they're always picking them apart and everything.
I try not to pick those apart because, again, it's all about the flying. But
since we're talking about Top Gun, I got to tell you one of my favorite T-shirts that I have. My wife bought it for me. It's upside down, first of all, but it says "Because I was inverted."
Exactly.
My son actually has a T-shirt. My son has a T-shirt that says Maverick with the helmet on it, and then it says like Wingman or something like that. And it's kind of, I think I found it at Target or something, but I don't know. Super excited for that to come out. So, tell me a little bit about what's going on in Nevada with our mission with Medical Freedom Act, and Move Freely.
Yeah, well, the first thing I'll say is, this is a movement that is gaining steam, but it's also a lot of moving parts, and as you guys know, we're airline pilots and flight attendants for the most part. There's some medical professionals in our midst as well, but the people doing this are really, we've got full-time jobs, but our jobs allow us to have separate times off and dedicate some time to this. But what we found out is, it was Ben, Chris, and I that started this little chapter in Nevada, and we did actually bring in another pilot, Melinda as a fourth state director, which I think we've found that we need guys, to keep things going along, guys and girls that I mean, I'm going to go to Upgrade for 3 weeks. Chris is doing some stuff in Orlando. Ben's doing things. Ben is the guy who basically keeps us grounded and saying, guys, remember our mission. So having a group of people with really equal say has been kind of cool. What Move Freely Nevada has concentrated on is really the goal of lobbying to our elected officials, which is key. I think it's the only way we're going to get where we need to go is to have real discussions with real people casting votes up in our case Carson City, and where we kind of started with is let's just start going to some of these meet and greets that these candidates are going to, and we didn't just limit ourselves to people already in office because this is a long haul. So we need to start getting into whoever will take us, and a lot of the people who would talk to us are the people running because they want to know what we as individuals and groups want, and so that they can start gearing their campaign towards that. So that's kind of helped us, and I'll let Chris talk a lot about that. He's done a lot more on getting to know the politicians than I have, but as a group, that's what we're trying to strive for. And then getting websites. And I'll tell you, I mean, the thing that probably kind of we were struggling for a little bit getting going, and we had, printed flyers out, but then we got these business cards and the business cards, I mean, immediately put legitimacy into our plans. So I would stress guys to do the business card thing, but so we've kind of gone around those things too. So that's kind of our target. Our target is legislation at the state level, just like, I mean, what has been the vision all along, and how we've done it is really the four of us getting out to meet some of these people and just learning how to talk to these guys. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, so like the week after we first met at that tavern, we had our first event, and quite literally we put it out to the members that were in the group already, and we didn't have a lot of members at that point. There was like maybe 15 of us.
Yeah.
And 8 people showed up to this GOP debate and luncheon. We weren't invited. We showed up with some signs and some pamphlets that we printed on our printers at home, and just hoped that we would be able to meet some of the people, meet some of the candidates. And shortly after getting there, I felt like we were like a bunch of vagabonds standing out in front of the event. So I went inside and started kind of looking for the person running the event. Eventually met Jesse Law, who's high up in the GOP here in Nevada. He invited us in. We set up a table and we just started talking to people. And from that day, we ended up meeting several of the candidates that are running for governor, for Congress, for Assembly, for Senate, for federal offices as well. And it just kind of snowballed from there. Ultimately, we ended up somewhere around 125 members after we started meeting all those people. And pretty much, everything that we've done here has been through that networking. So like Ellis said, with the business cards, it seems like a small thing, but when you walk up to somebody and say, hey, I'm here with Move Freely Nevada, and then you put that business card out in front of them, it's something that they can take away with them and put into a file or put it on their desk or whatever the case may be, and get back to you later. Several weeks ago, I got a phone call from a Senate candidate for the U.S. Senate. And what she said to me was, somebody gave me your business card and I heard about you guys. And then I heard about you again from somebody else. And, when you finally hear it 10 times, you have to realize that, this is somebody I want to talk to. So Sherelle Mendenhall reached out to me to find out what we were all about. I went to an event last week or 2 weeks ago with Adam Laxalt, who's also running for Senate, or I'm sorry, for Congress, one of the two. I don't remember off the top of my head. And he had Ron DeSantis from Florida, the best governor in the country from Florida, was there giving a speech. And just through that networking again, I met a radio talk show host, and just 3 days ago was on an hour-long show talking about Move Freely Nevada and Move Freely America. So that networking is huge, and it's been what is the nexus of us getting the kind of traction that we've gotten here in Nevada.
Yeah, we certainly couldn't do it without self-starters like you guys, and that's really what we need the most in some of the other states.
Ellis, do you remember sitting in the tavern, how we each identified ourselves? Do you remember what we said?
Yeah, we're all reluctant.
There it is.
Reluctant leaders that have finally figured out that we need to do something. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I think we all kind of came to this a little bit reluctantly. A friend of mine from Spirit reached out and asked me if I wanted to be involved, and I said flat out no. Probably 5 times. I told him no, I don't want anything to do with it. And he eventually, I don't think he meant to do it, but he called me out online, and I was like, all right, challenge accepted. And then he put me in touch with Tom, and it just kind of went from there.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the time.
And the reluctance, I will say, the reluctance isn't that we don't think this is something worth fighting for. We all know it is. It's just that everyone, it's time constraints. It's like, oh man, I can't, or I don't know how to do that. And next thing you know, we all found the time through help. Honestly, I mean, through getting a couple of like-minded people that want to do this, and then from there, we figured out that all we have to be is a presence, and then people start asking us about it, and not being afraid to talk. I went to Sam Brown's meet and greet, who was put on a Southwest pilot and a Republican Party put it on, and it was great as well. And it was, we're talking to senatorial candidates. Sherelle, Adam Laxalt is running for Senate as well, trying to defeat Cortez Mastro. All 3 of them, and all 3 of them are outstanding people. And the point is that we're not going to necessarily put our weight into one. We're not going to endorse necessarily one candidate or the other, but we're going to get out there and talk to them and get our name out there, and then the connections lead to connections, and it's so our reluctance to do this was more of a unknown. What could we do? And then it just flows when you just get out there, and that's the point. Just get out there.
Yep, trying to get everybody to get off their butts. And I think that's been one of the hardest things. I'm just as guilty as anybody. The reason why we're here is because conservatives in general have just been living their lives, raising their kids, paying their taxes, and not being involved in their government. It's just as much ours as it is anybody's. And our mission here is to train and engage the people to become more involved. And that segues us into candidates. We've got 5 Move Freely members across 3 states who are running for office, one of which is Janan Logan. She was my last interview on the channel. So how's Janan doing? You guys have any updates on her campaign?
Yeah, Janan's doing good. She just earned the Nevada GOP endorsement for her campaign just last week at the convention. So she's doing really good. We also have candidate Matt Sadler, who's running for Assembly District 36, is one of our members. And I actually live in District 36, so this is not a Move Freely Nevada endorsement as much as it is my personal endorsement of him, but I've been to several of his events, and he's actually let me get up and talk to the people that show up for his events, and that's been really good too. Each one, we get more patriots that join our movement, so that's been really positive.
So how is when is the primaries?
The primary here in Nevada, the early voting, I believe, starts on May 24th and goes through, I think it's June 10th, and then the actual primary is June 14th.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right around the corner then. So
at least in the one race, Matt Sadler's race, there is no Democrat challenger. There is, however, an incumbent assemblyman, and I'll tell you the story about that in just a minute. But so if Matt's able to win his primary, he's in. That's it. Janan is a little different because there are several Republicans in her primary and a Democrat challenger, so she'll have a longer road to get there. But if we can get the votes for Matt, he's in as of June 15th, which would be great.
And I will say, this is something that as long as we're talking about candidates and the candidates who are on our chats, it's really important to, number one, keep our chats to a professional level. We've discussed that because these candidates get on here, and if they're associated with Move Freely Nevada and the Telegram accounts that are on there, you can screenshot one infiltrator screenshot something that's a bashing of some person they like, and then they put it all over the internet, and then our candidates are dealing with a public relations issue that we don't want them to do. So we like to keep our chats professional, and they have been. They've been pretty good about it. I don't mind opinions. I'm not stifling opinions or anything like that. But we do try to keep our Telegram on track. Janan is doing a phenomenal job. We have got most of the connections for Move Freely America have come through going to some of her meet and greets and using her connections and her ability to, she's done some mass producing of signs and all that stuff. So some of that helps. So you can use these candidates to our benefit, but we are also trying to give them the benefit too. And it's one thing I'll put out. If anyone in Move Freely Nevada is listening to this, it's really important to go when we put something out and we say, hey, Janan's going to do a meet and greet, or Matt Seiler is going to do something out here, just put a little bit of time, if you're home, to go out and do it. The more people that see, the more people that can support. It helps not only for our candidates, to get, to know that they have people following them, but also as a PR thing, when they have pictures and there's 50 people in a room versus 10 people in a room, and we have 125 people on our chat, it's more than that, right?
More now. So we picked up a bunch over the weekend.
Yeah. So if 20 of those people would go, you know what, I'm home and I'm going to drive out to Pahrump, or I'm going to drive to Henderson and do the thing with Janan, it would help our cause so much. So I do want, it's not just to read information, it is to go out and do some things as we get and more and more things as we get closer to the elections. So I'll just throw that out.
And both these candidates have embraced this movement, the Move Freely movement. They've embraced it so much that when I walk into an event with Matt or with Janan, our signs are everywhere. Our pamphlets are laid out on their table. Our flyers are there. And almost always the first thing that they talk to their constituents about is Move Freely Nevada. Almost always. So, I mean, they've really embraced it. And if we could, again, not necessarily endorsing one over another, but if we could show that support, that would be huge for them.
Right.
They're really showing it, that support for us.
And that brings me to another good segue. We'll a quick break here. We'll talk about donating and fundraising, the importance of that. So just a quick pause, grab a glass of water. I'll talk for a second, give a little clip, and then we'll come back and talk some more. So fundraising is very important and essential to the mission that we're doing here. We have IT costs to run the website, currently ordering business cards for all our state directors, signage to bring to events, coming up with an email blast service. We've got 10,000 subscribers to the Move Freely America website. And we're going to be sending out a monthly email to keep everybody up to date on what's going on across all these different states, 32 states that we're represented in. So I don't like asking for money. That's not the way I was raised. But with grassroots organizations, with candidates running for office, it's absolutely essential. We can't keep this going without your donation. So anything, $1, $5, $10 or more. Monthly donations are most meaningful and help the cause the greatest. We have several monthly subscribers to Move Freely America, as well as the candidates that we have running. I personally do monthly contributions to the Florida candidate Ken Davenport running in House District 35. So please, I ask you kindly to donate, go to the website, movefreelyamerica.org, and help us out. It is quite expensive, and we're paying for it out of pocket right now. I'm happy to do so. I believe so in the cause, but going forward, we're going to need your help. So please donate. More video production.
Production value.
So have you guys had the ability to meet with state assemblymen and talk to them to try to push the Medical Freedom Act itself yet?
So I'll start here. I've been attempting to talk to my current assemblyman and also my state senator. Okay. Unfortunately, the state senator is, I forget the name of the town, but he's way up in the north of Nevada in the desert, 5.5 hour drive. So it's not like, it's not very easy to just do a pop-in visit. I could drive all the way up there and find he's not even home, right? So I was kind of focusing on my current assemblyman, and with really zero success. I sent several emails and made some phone calls, never heard back from him. Found out about an event that he was having in Pahrump, so I drove out there to meet him at the event in person, and it didn't go well. Unfortunately, I don't know if he's not concerned with medical freedom. I don't know if it's something else, but he only gave me about 15 to 20 seconds to talk to him, and it kind of blew me off. I'm going to keep trying because it's important. Obviously, if he remains the assemblyman, he's going to be the person we need to, go to bat for us in Carson City. So I'm going to keep reaching out, but it's been difficult.
What side of the aisle does he sit?
He's a conservative Republican. So, I hate to say this is a partisan issue, but it's kind of, shaken out to be kind of partisan. But again, for whatever reason, he just didn't seem that concerned or interested in talking about what we're trying to do. Yeah. And maybe that was just a timing issue. It could have just been timing. So it's just a matter of me getting in touch with him.
It can be timing. It also, something the uphill battle we're going to be facing is a lot of these guys get money from big pharma, right? Their campaigns are a lot of money into it, and so they're afraid to start, delving into something that may lose them campaign money. That is an issue for sure. I was able to talk to Adam Laxalt. And he was very interested in our movement and all that stuff. But look, he's got a multi-million-dollar campaign that's being funded by lots of different people. So a lot of their loyalties and timing, they don't have the time for everybody. I mean, that's kind of a politician here, and they just want to get their name out and their face out, and then on to the next thing. I do think we've had definitely more luck with the candidates trying for office because they want to talk. They're willing to talk to everybody. Some of the incumbents are a little too comfortable. So it's really, you got to make them uncomfortable, right? You need to keep on knocking on their door, emailing them. And I think that's really the only way that we can get in there at times.
I can tell you from experience, I'm in House District 150 here in Houston. And my Representative Valerie Swanson has passed medical freedom legislation in the past already. And it's been very, very difficult to get any time with her office. And I've just been persistent. I showed up on, I emailed them back in January and February and went back and forth with their chief of staff. Couldn't nail down he gave me a date, but not a time. So I just showed up at his office on that day, like in the afternoon. And they're like, "Oh, sorry, we don't have you on the schedule. So, contact Dan, who's the chief of staff, and we'll get you, logged in or get you on a schedule in the future." And it's just really frustrating. You vote for these people. I voted for her twice. And on primary day during election day, I went to the voting center. I brought my kids with me so they can see and how it all goes, and involving them and training them the right way. And she was there handing out business cards and flyers, trying to get people to vote for her. And I spent about 45 minutes talking with her about Move Freely America and what we were doing and how I was trying to gain attention with her office, and then also offer to help them. How can I help you get this legislation passed? Because in Texas, regular session starts next January. So it's my goal, my personal goal, along with the people here in Move Freely, Texas, to get a piece of the Medical Freedom Act on the floor for a vote during regular session early next year. And then even after that, she took all my information, my website, my phone number, all that stuff, and called her office several times and just could not make a connection with somebody. And finally, just last week, the chief of staff, Daniel, emailed me, and he's like, "Hey, I got an availability next Wednesday. Why don't you come in?" So tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to go in and sit down with them, bring in a copy of the Medical Freedom Act, bring in a business card, and just having a little sit down with them. 30, 45 minutes is all it takes. And that's all we're really asking people to do in Move Freely America is re-engage your government the way it was designed to be. And for the average person who's not in a leadership position to Move Freely, that's all it takes. 30 minutes to an hour, once or twice a month, some emails, some phone calls, and just establishing a relationship with your elected officials, your local state officials, and asking them how we can help them get some of this legislation passed to prevent them from doing this to us in the future, because it's still coming. And I don't know if you guys saw on the I posted it on the Southwest Freedom Flyer channel yesterday. It was a review of the appeals court when they met about a month ago to talk about Executive Order 14042, which is what the airlines are under, because we're considered federal contractors, even though I don't get any benefits of being a federal contractor. Only the airline makes the money. But it's really disheartening to see that executive order, even though there's a stay placed on it, and it seems like everything's fine right now, especially since the masks went away, it is still out there and still looming. And that the OSHA mandate, which got shot down, the CMS mandate and the federal employee mandate got upheld. Both of those touch the federal contractor side, and we're right in the middle. So in listening to what the judges said about the future of that particular mandate, it is absolutely horrifying. I mean, it could literally, it could go either way. It could come back tomorrow and we'll be right back to square one. And what people are doing, what I'm seeing that's frustrating, is they're backing off. The mandates went away, the masks went away, woohoo, back to normal life. And they're falling back into that normal routine, where now is the time that we have to keep our foot on the gas in this lull and get out ahead of it. Instead of playing defense like conservatives do, we're always playing defense, always playing defense. It's the art of war. They're dragging us onto their battlefield and we're going to lose. We need to go out there and be the offense. And that's what Move Freely America is we're the offense. We got to get out ahead and get this legislation passed, so they can't bring it back. They can't throw it in our laps, and we're going to have to risk our livelihoods again. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I think it's important. Hold on. Am I muted? Oh, there it goes. I think it's important to note too, the mask mandate in airplanes and airports and trains went away. And a lot of companies have dropped their mandates, and conservatives particularly, we like to live and let live and leave well enough alone. So we feel like we won. So we back off that pressure. And I believe that's a tactic from the other side. I believe they did it intentionally to get us to back off, because we're starting to fight. So, it would be a huge mistake for us to slow down at this point, even though it feels like, we're getting back to normal. I just hopped on an airplane the other day for the first time in months, and it was the first time that I've been on an airplane since they dropped the mask mandate. Now, keep in mind, I haven't been wearing it anyways, because I'm a rebel. But Tom, I know you are too.
No.
I know you are too, Ellis.
Yeah.
I haven't been wearing it anyways, but what I saw was a lot of people that just were, acting like everything was normal. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get us to back off so that they could sneak in whatever is next. And that's probably EO 14042. They're going to, keep pushing that. And the next thing we're all going to be right back in the same place. So I think it's important now that the pressure is off. That's where we have to gain steam.
Exactly. It's definitely, and it's disheartening when you see people let off the throttle. Here's the one good thing about the mask mandate and how it stopped was that it was a judge. Thank God we had one judge in this country, but it was just one that made a difference. Now, had the administration been smarter, they would have not extended it. They would have let it go, and then they could very easily take back that freedom they so graciously gave us back. But they didn't. They failed that opportunity, and a judge came in. So it's a little bit more difficult for them to just take those freedoms back from us. But it's still there because all they need is their judges, right? Their judges will counter Trump, our judge, if you will. And pun intended there. So it is the light at the end of the tunnel is that legislation can affect the administration's ability, right? And we saw that in action, and we're able to get people to be able to take off, to grasp their little bit of freedom again midair, which was pretty awesome. Flying from Fort Lauderdale to Baltimore and being the guy to make the announcement that your freedoms have been restored thanks to a judge in Florida. However, as both Tom and Chris have just said, it is fleeting. It'll be gone in an instant if they get their way. So, and they are very, very hard, and they are very good at finding their way. We've seen that through. You could name the scandals or what we think has happened over the last several years, not just the last 4 years, not just the last 8 years, but the last 20 years. On the one side's ability to manipulate the population, and it's scary because they are very good at it. Their tactics are sound, and I'm going to say ours because I'm conservative. Our tactics are not sound. You could take a look at, and I'll just name a few. Mitt Romney having President then candidate Obama, well, he was president for the Benghazi thing, doing one debate, crushing them, and then letting off the gas pedal. And just softball after softball after that, and he lost. Now, we have since seen Mitt Romney's true colors, but I just want to say is that this has been going on for more than just 2 years. Their tactics are better than ours, and so we need to get out there and be the offense, as Tom says. The offense is what we need, and we are struggling to do that. Quite honestly, we need people to step up.
100%. I want to add something, if you don't mind, about the mask mandate too, that I find interesting. So, it's been mandated, or federal law. Somehow it went from a mandate to, in the airports, they would say federal law requires the use of the mask, right? And this went on for almost 2 years, right?
Yeah.
It literally took one judge. I don't know how long it takes to write an opinion, but let's say it took her a weekend to write the opinion. I don't know. It took one judge to come out and say, this is illegal. And look how fast the TSA, the federal government, the airports, look how fast everybody dropped that lie of federal law and mandate. That just tells me that it was never right to be doing that, right? So anybody that's listening to this, please remember that. It only took one person to say, hey, that's illegal. And the entire federal government dropped it within minutes. So
and the entire population, to your point, the entire population walked around with masks for 2 years like lemmings because they said, well, someone told me it's a law.
Right.
Yeah.
And it turns out it wasn't a law ever. And
Nope.
It only took that one judge to say so, and it ended immediately. So just keep that in mind. We don't have to, do mandates. Mandates are just that. Here, we want you to do this. And until you actually do it, there is nothing binding. But once you say, "Oh, okay, I'm going to wear that mask because you told me to," now it's just a weird thing. But
Let's take a quick 15-second break for a like and subscribe video, and then we'll come back and talk about this more. Yeah, so send this video out to everybody you know and help get our name out there. We'll talk about the masks in a minute, but Tom in Florida, the state director in Florida, was on Newsmax 3 times a couple of weeks ago. And just based on that one appearance, that brought 1,500 individual viewers to the website in one day, and 500 new subscribers to the email. And it was really interesting. I was watching the Telegram channels, just people add. I think we had like 50 people add to the Telegram channels across all the different states just based on that one appearance. So this particular podcast and some of the other ones that we are in the process of recording, Chris has a connection to a guy in Pahrump, Nevada, who has been gracious enough to let us use airtime on his show. And maybe if you could talk about that before we get back to the mask, Chris.
Yeah, the show is called Your 2 Cents, and it airs. I don't remember the exact airing time. I think it's 6 o'clock on Fridays, or I'll find out what that is. But it's a local radio station in Pahrump, and they have 2 stations, 97.7 and 106.9 in Pahrump. And it's not they don't have a lot of wattage, so as far as the actual radio show, it doesn't have huge reach. But he also has websites dedicated to the talk radio show and also local talent and stuff. So I actually found him through my music. When I put out a record through a friend of a friend, I found out that he was interested in playing, local musicians. So I met him through that, but then we got talking about his political activism as well, and that's when he told me about the talk show. So the radio station is KWKI FM, and we do thank Anthony for letting us get some airtime there as well.
100%. So the interesting thing, back to the masks, is we had a pilot at my airline who refused to wear the mask, just as I did for the last year. I was disciplined at work for not doing that, and I did it out of rebellion because it's total garbage. It's unconstitutional. It's against the law. It was never a law. It was a mandate. It had no teeth to it whatsoever. And in my experience, going everywhere around the country, blue states, red states, it doesn't matter. There was zero enforcement by the TSA, by any airport workers. The only enforcement I found of the mask mandate was fellow employees, which is really interesting. And I had 2 fellow employees turn me in, the second of which resulted in discipline. It is what it is. I'm still not going to wear it if it comes back. I really don't see him putting toothpaste back in the tube. But another guy did get nabbed by TSA in Baltimore. And they took away his security access for a year. For those who don't know, the pilots and flight attendants have a separate security deal. We don't go through the full screening like a regular passenger does. But that was revoked for a year, and they tried to fine him $1,000. And he's been fighting a legal battle with the TSA on that, and he has uncovered quite a lot of nefarious things going on, the biggest of which that all the airlines and all the airports, and there's a spreadsheet on the DOT website, you can go look it up yourself, received grant money from the federal government with a shoestring attached that specifically says mask enforcement by the airlines. And it's supposed to be the airport, even though the airports weren't really doing it. And if they didn't enforce the mask mandate, that they would be precluded from future payouts of that specific grant or grants that they could possibly receive in the future. So the government literally bought off these corporations. I mean, and that's what they're doing now. The problem is with the money, because they're not, they know they don't have the ability to regulate this through law. So they're paying off these corporations to do the bidding of the government, where the government doesn't have any authority to do so. And I believe that
And the
was
disgusting thing about that is those grants come from our tax-paying money, right? So, so whether we know it or not, we're culpable to funding a government that's turning it right back in our face and taking away our rights.
Right. Yeah, it's quite disgusting to watch. But anyhow, now I think Chris, your airline had a guy recently. He's down in Dallas who was removed from airport property when he refused to wear the mask. Do you know anything about that?
I do. Yeah, he was actually deadheading through Austin. It was in Austin Airport that it happened, and following the rules, he was sitting there sipping his water, and some TSA agent saw him without his mask on, came over and told him that he had to put the mask on, or actually asked him, "Do you have a mask?" And he said, "Yes." He goes, "Are you going to put it on?" And he said, "Well, I'm drinking water, so it's not likely." Well, the guy left and then came back with a couple of cops and also a supervisor. So it was clear that TSA was getting ready to escalate the interaction, right? Because they came back with policemen and supervisors. So ultimately, he ended up. They said, "You either put the mask on or you have to leave the property." So they escorted him off the property. As he was walking out, the TSA supervisor said that he was going to start an investigation with the airline over it. That's as much as I've got right now. I think it's all kind of ongoing. Even though the mask mandate, again, the mandate has dropped, they're still, pushing the enforcement because it happened while the mandate was still on. So that's all I have right now.
Yeah, and I noticed a big increase in TSA crackdown on the mask right before the extension. It was supposed to get extended on April 18th, I believe was the date. Yep. And about a week leading into that, we started noticing an increase in I can't think of the word, but guys like him and guys like me, being given a hard time, whereas we hadn't before, and it was interesting. So that tells you that it was coming from somewhere on the high, and that they were going to extend this. Maybe they definitely extending it 15 days. What does that do? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. They were just going to go 2 weeks and 2 weeks, and it really, to me, ruined the job. It covering your face is just completely unnatural, and the morale at the airline was just absolutely in the dumper. But the day that the judge ruled, and thank God she did, I got all these pictures and videos of in flight, the airline, the captain coming on saying that the mask mandate had been dropped and you can remove your mask, and entire planefuls of people breaking out in cheers and claps and smiling faces, a message on the ACARs from dispatch. I mean, it was a beautiful day, and people, you alluded to it earlier, Ellis, I think, people think of it as a win, but they took away a freedom that should never have been taken away. And then we were giving that back, and people celebrate that as a win. And I really don't see, it feels good. Yeah, don't get me wrong, but I really don't see it as a win. I find it kind of sad that we let it go 2 years. Right. I really wish, and I implored people everywhere I went to fight back. There's not been a single society in history who has complied its way out of tyranny. And we were complying. Everybody was complying. It was just, I can't be walking through the airport thinking to myself, I can't be the only guy who has the balls to do this. There's got to be 100 other men here in this terminal with me who want to do that. And that was the reason I did that, not only for myself to breathe freely as an American citizen with inalienable rights, but also to embolden others to follow suit. And that's really what they don't like. That's really what the airline didn't like.
Well, I can tell you, Tom, I just never ran into you at the airport, but I was one of them too.
Yeah, and so was I. And I would, I'm a tall guy. I would look into everyone's eyes and just kind of, as I passed them, and they saw my whole face all the time, because the one good thing this government has done for me is it taught me how to resist at an early age, and I think we've all forgotten how to resist. And I will say this is that occasionally you get told to put the mask on. You got to put the mask on, and that's you broke, right? And so, but that's okay, because POWs break every day, and then and then they wake up the next day and they either make a choice to comply and be pathetic or resist again until they're broken again. And that's how I looked at this for the last 2 years, is you resist, and then occasionally you're going to have to make a decision and it's going to break you. But wake up the next day and continue to resist and resist stronger the next time until they break you again, because that's their tactic, and that's what we have to do too. And it sounds like a warmongering thing, but and you know what, it is, because I think we're in a war right now. And I don't want to escalate this discussion, but we are definitely in a war for our rights.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great.
I actually had a flight attendant on one of my flights that saw me without the mask and clearly was, one of the mask. I don't like to use the word, so I won't, but definitely believed in the masks, and said, what kind of example do you think you're setting for all these passengers? And I said, well, think about it for a second. I think I'm the one that's actually setting the correct example.
Right. And that's exactly what I told my supervisors. They're like, you got to do it for your fellow employees because it's hard on them. And what you're a leader in the company. And I was like, yeah, I am leading in the opposite direction. And
right.
I believe that in my soul.
One thing people in power hate is people that won't follow them.
Right. Right. This is about power, and muzzling people up is about power throughout. Look at all the cultures that do it, and what they are. It's astounding that America, the United States of America, what we say is the freest country in the world, they muzzled us up for power, to assert their power, not for any type of science out there, because it was all out there that was not.
Yeah.
And they just kept on saying a lie and watching people comply. It's disgusting.
Yeah. So we're coming up on the hour mark. I'm going to cut it there. Is there anything that you guys like to throw in last minute before we end?
The one thing I'd like to say is thanks to everyone who's given us the support. Without you, we cannot do this, and we all need to come together and continue to do it. Don't get frustrated. Keep it professional. Keep it. But keep the foot on the throttle. We need each and every one of you to show up every once in a while, and then more and more and more. You'll actually thrive on it. And I do want to extend my appreciation to everyone. And Janan Logan, Matt Sadler, Dr. Simon, all three are running for office. Get out there and support them for sure. There's a guy in Florida, Davenport, that Tom O'Leary has been helping out. Everyone needs to do their part and come support. Even if you don't vote for that person, get ideas, start learning, start becoming involved. Thank you.
100%.
And I'll just add also, this is somewhat a numbers game, so we need to keep boosting our numbers. So if you have friends or family, anyone in Nevada that would be interested in getting involved with Move Freely Nevada, let them know about it. Give them the link to get onto the Telegram chat, the Telegram channel, and we need those people. When it comes to the legislative session next year, I want to have hundreds of people lobbying their representatives in Carson City. That way, when those reps walk into the rooms where they're doing their committees, every one of them is talking about Move Freely.
100%. Yeah. And that's the important thing. I think once people start doing it, it is fun. It is fun and it's exciting, and you get to make a ton of new friends, and everybody knows that it's all about the connections. So it's very important to get out there. Ellis and Chris, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming today. I'm going to speak for another minute before we do the outro. If you want to hang out and talk afterwards, just hang out, and I'll be back in a little bit. But thank you.
Thanks for your leadership, Tom.
Hey, anytime, man. I'm just a guy, just trying to make it. I couldn't do it without everybody with me. Thanks, guys. So everybody, two great leaders right there. They were kicking ass in Nevada. I'm super glad to know them and have them on board. We've got people in Texas and Florida doing the same thing. Arizona, New Mexico, Michigan, right behind them on their heels with membership and also doing hard work. I give a big shout out to all the people volunteering and helping there. And thank you so much for your time and dedication. Please, if you're watching this and you believe in what we do, movefreelyamerica.org. It's right there. go on there and donate. Any amount of money helps. We certainly appreciate it. And if you want to get involved, if you want to just learn how to meet with your state representative and push medical freedom, we can train you on that. And all the way up to leadership positions. If you're a self-starter who wants to be engaged, who with little guidance can take leadership of a state, any state you live in, please contact me. tbogart@movefreelyamerica.org is my email address, and I'd be happy to talk to you. Anybody who wants to be involved, happy to talk, happy to guide. And thanks. We'll see you next week when we interview Tom Oltorek, Patty, and Phil from Move Freely, Florida. Looking forward to it. Have a great day.